Thank you for joining me today as we pursue the Lord in His Word and in prayer. I'd like to focus on praying for the unity of the church today and turn to one of my favorite Psalms to guide us in that prayer. It's Psalm 133. So read with me. Behold how good and pleasant it is when brothers dwell in unity. It is like the precious oil on the head, running down on the beard of Aaron, running down on the collar of his robes. It is like the dew of Hermon which falls on the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord has commanded blessing, life forevermore. Now this is a psalm of ascent that the Jews would have sung together on their way up to Jerusalem as they prepared to worship together at the various festivals that happened throughout the year. And it's a psalm about delighting in the unity of God's people and seeking that unity together. The first image that's used to explain what this kind of unity looks like is that of oil on the head of Aaron. So this is a priestly oil, like the oil used to anoint God's high priest. And so it's an oil that's meant to set apart a person and specifically for the service of the Lord and His people. And so in comparing the unity of the people of God to this kind of oil, it's saying that we are to be priests to one another. Instead of bickering and fighting and competing with one another, we are to serve one another and serve one another as priests. This also should evoke just the senses of this oil being warm and sweet fragrance. And not only saturating the top of Aaron's head, right? It runs down the beard and covers his robe, showing that the love of God's people covers all, not just some. So this is the first image we have. The second is that of the dew of Mount Hermon. Now Mount Hermon is the tallest mountain in Syria. It's over 9,000 feet. And it's so high that nothing can grow on the top of it. But it's covered in snow 2/3 of the year. And in the warmer months, when that snow melts, it descends down the mountain and feeds into the rivers at the base of Mount Hermon, where you will find lush trees and vineyards. It's filled with animals and plants. It's flourishing. And so the unity of God's people looks like the dew on Mount Hermon. If you were to spend the night there, you would wake up covered in this dew, saturated in this dew. And so you have these two images of God's blessing descending on His people when they are dwelling in unity. And if we are to be like this dew on Mount Hermon, we are to dream about the flourishing of God's people. Oftentimes we think about others in a competitive manner, or we compare ourselves to others, and it only leads to division in the church. But what if we constantly dreamed and imagined with God about who God's people could be, who the person next to us could be, and how God could use them? What would the unity of God's people look like? And what could God do through us? And so let us use these images of oil and dew to think on God's people and how we can serve one another as priests and delight in the flourishing of one another. Let that lead us in prayer today. Let that be what excites us to serve God today.